Well, folks, we have some major news out of the New York City's 2025 mayoral race. We have a brand new Emerson College poll showing that Zoran Mamdani, the progressive state assemblyman, pulling ahead of former Governor Andrew Cuomo in the Democrat primary. And this is a stunning shift in a race that has been dominated by Andrew Cuomo, the former governor, for months at this point. And today, we're going to be diving into this poll, breaking down exactly where this race is at one day before the primary. So let's get started with the numbers out of Emerson College. This was an Emerson College polling. The Hill was involved with this. It was a survey conducted from June 18th to the 20th. Shows that Andrew Cuomo leading Zoran Mamdani 35 to 32 in first choice votes among roughly 830 likely Democratic primary voters. Now, that's within the 3.5 margin of error that the poll has, so essentially it's a dead heat here. But this is where it gets interesting. New York uses ranked choice voting, where voters rank up to 5 candidates in this simulation. After 8 rounds, Mamdani edges out former Governor Cuomo 52 to 48, which is it's basically right at the margin of error right now. But this is the first time an Emerson poll has shown Mamdani leading in the final round. Typically, we saw Governor Andrew Cuomo pulling ahead, where most of the votes were breaking. People who were voting for maybe Brad Landers or Eric Adams or anyone else in this race seemed to break for former Governor Andrew Cuomo more than it was breaking for the self-described Democrat socialist Zohran Mamdani. Now, demographically, right here, Mamdani is dominating with younger voters who are under 50. He's getting about 61% support. White voters, he's getting about 61% support. With Asian voters, he's getting roughly 79%. And Cuomo holds strong with black voters and Hispanic voters at 62% and 60% respectively. Now, this split shows that Mamdani's progressive message is resonated with younger voters, some diverse crowds, while Cuomo is banking on traditional Democrat strongholds in order to win this primary. But let's be clear, polls are not destiny. Let's just be honest about this, because a Marist poll from last week had Andrew Cuomo ahead by like 55 to 45 points in the 7th round of ranked choice voting. But the trend is undeniable that Mamdani is closing this gap fast. Even look at Polymarket. Look at what Polymarket here. Now, granted, earlier today, Mamdani actually was ahead of Cuomo for what? An hour? Not even an hour? Maybe a little bit. And then it's like it's been trending towards Governor Cuomo pretty consistently since about 10:30 this morning, 10 o'clock this morning, which these are betting markets at the end of the day. I'm not taking this super seriously, but obviously there was some reaction from this poll coming out here showing that even though it's within the margin of error, Mamdani was leading in this election or in this poll right here. And now the 25 New York City mayoral race is going to be one of the most chaotic in recent memory. Incumbent Mayor Eric Adams has been sidelined by a fundraising scandal and is running as an independent in November, leaving the Democratic primary wide open right now. You have Andrew Cuomo, who is a three-term governor from New York. He is the son of former governor of New York, Mario Cuomo. You know, most polls showed that he was leading with name recognition, with establishment backing like Bill Clinton, like Jim Clyburn. Now he has Michael Bloomberg. And Zoran Mamdani, who's a 33-year-old Democratic socialist from the Queens, started as a long-shot candidate. He's a state assemblyman with a progressive platform. He wants free buses, rent freezes, and city-run grocery stores. Sounds like something right out of the Soviet Union. Right out of the Soviet Union. But his campaign has somehow gained traction with endorsements from people like AOC, people like Bernie Sanders, and the Working Families Party. And other candidates like Comptroller of the City Brad Lander, City Council Speaker Adrienne Adams, and former Comptroller Scott Stringer are polling roughly in the single digits at right now. Lander's at about 13%, but he's allied with Mamdani through this cross-endorsement to consolidate the anti-Cuomo vote. They've kind of come together, endorsed each other, just to try and split the Cuomo vote to make sure nobody votes for Andrew Cuomo. Kind of something weird that's going on. But this race has been a battle of extreme contrast. Cuomo was pitching his experience and stability, promising to raise the city's minimum wage to $20 and to go after crime in the city. We know crime in New York City is out of control. Meanwhile, Mamdani is focused on affordability, or what he would call affordability, pushing bold ideas like a $30 minimum wage by 2030 and a $10 billion tax hike on businesses. On businesses and the wealthy. So we're going to have small businesses in New York City who are going to have an insane tax hike. If you thought people were leaving liberal cities, wait until this moron is leading the city. Wait until this moron is leaving the city. It is very clear that in the Democrat primary, Cuomo is the much safer bet. Much safer bet. His track record as a governor shows, even though I think he did a horrible job, he managed some complex systems, and even with his past scandals are, raising eyebrows right now, Mamdani's policies, while appealing to younger voters, sound like pie-in-the-sky ideas that will drain the city's budget, scare off businesses, and scare off voters. But you can't deny that he has got a lot of grassroots energy. But for these extreme far-left Democrat socialist policies, it's always fun and games. They always have so much energy until everyone leaves their city because they don't want to pay for this, and then they're the ones who are left footing the bill for a $30, $40, $50 minimum wage, for a $10 billion tax hike in the city. But you got to give him credit. He has used this grassroots energy, social media savvy, to make this really a two-man race at this point, when at one point, even just a couple months ago, look at Polymorph. He was a long shot candidate, even just, let's go back to May, not even a full month ago. Go back to the middle of May, literally 1 month ago. He's at 6%. 6% here. And if Zoran Mamdani wins the Democrat primary, it will be a seismic shift for New York City. A seismic shift for New York City. This will be something unlike we've ever seen before in the state. Or I guess I should say city. His progressive agenda raises serious concerns. His plan for free buses, a city-run grocery store. Here's the thing. The government doesn't run things very well. Why would we want the government to take control of more things? Why? Why is it that there are so many people in the younger generation that see something that's wrong in the world? Something that is unequal. Some disparity in the world. And they believe that government is here to fix those disparities. No. There are disparities in life. That's reality. Government is not there to do that. They're not there to make up for every inequity, everything that's unequal in life. They're not there to do that. That's how you turn into places like the USSR or the Chinese Communist Party or North Korea. These are ideas straight out of Democrat, or I should just say socialist countries, communist countries. And if we want our country to go down that direction, elect someone like Mamdani. Do it. We should do it then. But I think you're going to see a lot of businesses leave the city if they put this $10 billion tax in place. You're going to see a lot of billionaires, millionaires leave the city if they increase taxes. These millionaires and billionaires are basically contribute to all of the tax base in the city. There'll be higher taxes. It'll drive companies out. It's going to cost jobs in the city. It's going to be terrible. And Mamdani's rent freeze for stabilizing apartments might help tenants short term, but they risk discouraging developers from building new housing, from landlords from buying in the city, from investing in the city. The city's housing crisis needs more supply, not a price control. They don't. You want to talk about the minimum wage. A $30 minimum wage by 2030 might boost workers' pay, but it will also spike the cost for small businesses, leading to layoffs, price hikes, or both. But the thing is that the affordability crisis is a big thing in New York. When you have New Yorkers who are struggling with high rents and cost of living that are through the roof. And his campaign has tapped into a real frustration with the status quo, especially among younger voters. And if he wins, it could signal a broader leftward shift in the Democrat Party, both in New York City, but also potentially nationally. But I think it'll be more of a vacuum if he does win. I think it'll be less implications nationwide. But here's the catch. Even if Mamdani wins the primary in November's general election, it isn't a lock. It isn't. Because maybe Cuomo runs as an independent. You have Eric Adams running as an independent. You have Curtis Silva, who's the Republican candidate. Maybe you split this vote. 2020, and we see who can kind of edge out the other person. Because polls suggest that Mamdani's progressive policies could alienate modern voters, giving a lot to the Republicans or even Eric Adams. I think Eric Adams has a better shot, or even if Cuomo runs. I think that's a reality here. But even if he wins, this would test whether a democratic socialist can actually govern a city as complex as New York. You don't just get to implement these pie-in-the-sky ideas that you want that you want. It's great to say, oh, I want this, I want that. Well, who's going to pay for it? Who's going to pay for it? When there's backlash because taxes go up so much, who's left holding the bag at the end of the day? When the billionaires and the millionaires and people leave the city, businesses leave the city, and you have no tax basis, what are you going to do then? What are you going to do then? It's like, I think the big question going into tomorrow's primary, will New Yorkers bet on Mamdani's bold, radical, insane vision for the future? Or are they going to stick with someone they know, someone with experience, may not be good experience, but someone with experience in Governor Andrew Cuomo? And Mamdani's policies, they risk pushing New York towards fiscal delusion. Because whoever wins, they will face a divided city with a tough road ahead. But let me know, what do you think? Let me know your thoughts down below. Who do you think should lead New York City forward? Do you think former Governor Andrew Cuomo should be leading the city? Do you think Mamdani should be leading the city? Who do you think should lead the city going forward? But that is going to wrap things up for today, folks. As always, drop down below. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Smash that subscribe button. And folks, we will catch you next time.